Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to be going over the most popular tractors of all time, so without further ado, let's get into today's video. For more than a century, tractor manufacturers have been pumping out machines in mass quantity. Starting with the tractor revolution in the early 20th century that saw millions of machines enter the fields to replace livestock and advance farm production, all the way to today's modern tractors that see hundreds of thousands of new tractors sold per year. Now, this list is limited to North American sales because that's where most of our viewers are. Um, and I'm pretty sure that's where a lot of tractors are. Well, most of the older tractors got their start. While actual sales numbers of specific modern tractors are usually a tightly held secret by manufacturers, they are able to determine a tractor's popularity by checking out, how many of these tractors are owned by people on forums. With more than 750,000 Fordson F tractors sold between 1917 and 1928, this machine goes down as one of the early classics and an extremely popular one at that. Interestingly, the name Fordson is from Henry Ford. Because Ford Tractor was already used by a tractor manufacturer based in Minneapolis and Ford Motor Company was not willing to produce tractors, Henry Ford started a company independent of Ford Motor Company to build tractors, and it was called Henry Ford and Son, or Fordson. The Fordson F was powered by a 20 horsepower engine and weighed 2,920 pounds. The four-cylinder 20 horsepower engine was fed by a 21-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis and had manual steering. The machine weighed 2,920 pounds and had a 3-speed constant mesh gear drive transmission. The F-Series was Farmall's first mass-produced tractor with an 8-year production run. The F12, F14, F20, and F30 were produced by International Harvester in either Rock Island, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, or Neuss, Germany. The more than 300,000 units produced make this one of the most popular tractors ever. And did you know that in the 1937 model year, Farmall's paint scheme changed from gray to red? The four-cylinder 30 horsepower engine on the F30 was fed by a 21-gallon fuel tank with a 1-gallon auxiliary tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering, and it weighed just about 5,300 pounds. The unsynchronized gear-driven transmission had 4 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. Most tractor historians credit John Deere with popularizing the tractor in North America, and for good reason. The early John Deere row crop tractors were very popular with farmers, and still to this day you will see these popular classics chattering down old farm roads with their unmistakable two-cylinder engine sound. And if you ever heard the term Johnny Popper, this is the tractor it came from. The John Deere Model A featured a 24 horsepower engine and weighed in at 3,783 pounds. The original price for the Model A was $2,400 in 1952, and when adjusted for inflation as of 2021, that price is about $23,000. The two-cylinder engine on this machine was from 24 to 38 horsepower depending on the build date. The engine was fed by either a 14-gallon fuel tank or an 18-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering, and it weighed 4,600 pounds. The unsynchronized gear-driven transmission had 4 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. The Allis Chalmers B was an important and very popular tractor for a number of reasons. First, its size was geared toward the small farmer with under 100 acres of land. At the time, most tractors were for larger farms over 100 acres, and the bigger, heavier, more expensive farm tractors were a bit much for the small farmer. Second, it was the most popular tractor from Allis Chalmers and sold over 120,000 units. Also, it was important for Harry Merritt, who was the head of the tractor division at Allis Chalmers at the time. His research into farm size led to the creation of the Allis Chalmers B. And what a great idea he had. What a great idea he had. The 4-cylinder engine on this tractor had 22.25 horsepower and was fed by a 12-gallon fuel tank with a 1-gallon auxiliary tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering, and it weighed 2,060 pounds. The unsynchronized gear-driven transmission on this tractor had 3 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. The Farmall M was a classic row crop tractor that had the distinction of being International Harvester's first diesel-powered tractor, the MD. Unlike modern diesels, the Farmall MD had to be started on gasoline and then slowly switched over to diesel after the engine was warmed up. International Harvester also made a high-clearance vegetable model of the Farmall M called the MV. All said and done, more than 270,000 Farmall M tractors were sold. The M was a heavy tractor and weighed almost 2.5 tons or 4,858 pounds. Under the hood, you will find a 25 horsepower engine. The price point was directly in line with the John Deere Model A at $2,400 or $23,000 nowadays. The 4-cylinder engine on this tractor was 32 horsepower and was fed by a 21-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering, and it weighed 4,858 pounds. The sliding gear transmission had 6 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. Sitting beside the Farmall M was the little brother model, the Farmall H. Thanks to its lower price tag, International Harvester sold nearly 400,000 of the 19-horsepower Farmall H tractor. Even for its size, the H was a heavy machine at 3,875 pounds and was also available in gas and distillate configurations. The top speed on this tractor was 27 miles per hour. Farmers could expect to maintain up to a couple hundred acres with the Farmall H. The 4-cylinder engine had 24 horsepower and was fed by a 17.5-gallon fuel tank. The tractor was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering, and it weighed 3,875 pounds. It had a sliding gear transmission with 5 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. The Ford N-Series tractors need no introduction, and if we had to crown an all-time ranking, the N would be right up there most likely. The 9N was a tough, versatile small farm machine with a very attractive $585 starting price in 1939, which is equivalent to about $10,800 here in 2021. At 20.29 horsepower, this 4-cylinder engine pumped out 84 foot-pounds of torque. Like all good American iron, the 9N was built to last, and it did. You'll still find these tractors all over the place, still doing work 80 years later. The 4-cylinder engine had 20.29 horsepower and was fed by a 10-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering, and it weighed 2,140 pounds to 3,375 pounds. The sliding gear transmission had 3 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. In 1942, Ford rolled out the 2N as a replacement to the 9N, though the differences were slight. But thanks to wartime restrictions on price, Ford made a name change and also changed some components due to shortages. The 2N switched from a battery and alternator and wound up with a magneto and a hang crank for starting. Not only that, but the 2N got a set of steel wheels as standard equipment. The price tag on the 2N came in at $1,120, which is equivalent to roughly $17,700 today. The 4-cylinder engine had 23 horsepower and was fed by a 10-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering and weighed 3,070 pounds. The sliding gear transmission had 3 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. With more than 500,000 8N tractors sold, this was one of the most popular single models ever built. Over the years, some features were added, and eventually the 8N got replaced by the NAA. Today, the 8N is symbolic with mid-century small farms and will likely live on in collections as well as on the small farm for generations to come. The 4-cylinder engine had 27.32 horsepower and was fed by a 10-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with mechanical steering, and it weighed 2,410 pounds to 2,717 pounds. The constant mesh transmission had 4 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. Remember the Allis Chalmers B? Well, Farmall got in the small farm game too, with the little 11 horsepower Farmall Cub. The Cub was a small package that proved extremely versatile for small farms that needed an all-around machine. Technically, the Cub was manufactured for 32 years under 3 different models and made its transformation to the International Cub in 1965. The Cub is not only known for its popularity, but is instantly recognizable for its long steering shaft mounted to the right side of the engine. You're unlikely to find an antique tractor show without a few Cubs. They're such a great size, and from afar these little things shine bright. The 4-cylinder engine had 11 horsepower and was fed by a 7.5-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering and weighed 1,477 pounds to 1,877 pounds. The sliding gear transmission had 3 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. The Massey Ferguson 35 was available with a Perkins diesel engine or, after 1961, a Continental gas engine, and offered a familiar size and weight to the even more popular machines from Ford. But this red machine developed a loyal following of its own and sold well over its production run. In 1963, a new Massey Ferguson 35 would set you back about $2,529, or about $21,000 today. Both engines offered 37 horsepower fed by a 13.9-gallon fuel tank. The diesel engine was a 3-cylinder model and the gas engine was a 4-cylinder model. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual recirculating ball steering and weighed 3,875 pounds. The geared transmission had 6 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. Here's the one you've been waiting for. The John Deere 4020 replaced the 4010, which had a 3-year production run. These machines were not for the occasional farmer with 95 horsepower and weighing more than 4 tons. Another thing that separated the John Deere 4020 as a big-time tractor was its price. At $10,345 new, that would be a $65,000 tractor in 2021. Considering the size and price, the fact that John Deere sold 184,000 of the 4020 tractors makes it a very significant tractor in the history of farming. And today, the 4020 remains in service on many farms and has a loyal following of farmers who swear by this classic piece of iron. The 6-cylinder engine had 96 horsepower and was fed by a 34 to 45 gallon fuel tank. There were diesel, gas, and LP models. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis or a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with power steering, and it weighed 8,825 pounds to 9,560 pounds. It had an 8-speed transmission, which was either a partially synchronized transmission or a full power shift transmission. The 45 horsepower Massey Ferguson 135 offered an upgrade over its predecessor, the 35, and would later be replaced by the 235. Its sister, the 165, was also a popular machine. In total, an estimated 250,000 135 tractors were sold, making it popular for its time and also a very popular second-hand choice for farmers around the world. These Massey Ferguson tractors offered what every farmer wanted, which was a good tractor that was powerful, durable, and simple. So simple that it would basically last forever. Like most every tractor produced in this era, the Massey Ferguson 135 tractors are still at work today and will be well into the future. Both engine options were 38 horsepower. The 3-cylinder diesel engine had a 10.2 gallon fuel tank, and the 4-cylinder gas engine had a 13.7 gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual steering and weighed 2,940 to 3,130 pounds. The 2-range gear-driven transmission had 3 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. The U.S.-bound Ford 3000 tractors were manufactured in Highland Park, Michigan, and offered a few variants. The 3000, 3100 all-purpose, the 3300 vineyard, and the 3310 narrow model could fit the needs of many different farms. Ford 3000 tractors featured 3-cylinder gas and diesel engines tested at over 30 horsepower at the PTO. Over 10 years, it is estimated that over 350,000 units rolled off the product lines. The 3-cylinder engines had 38 horsepower with a 13-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with manual or power-assisted steering and weighed 3,700 pounds to 4,185 pounds. The Specto Speed full power shift transmission had 10 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. In the 70s, tractors really started to get bigger. These JI case machines were popular in the 70 to 120 horsepower range and could do just about anything a farmer asked of them. Big 6-cylinder gas or diesel powered engines powered these tractors that weighed in at over 5 tons. The 6-cylinder gas or diesel engines had an average of 86 horsepower and were fed by a 50-gallon fuel tank. They were built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive chassis with power steering, and they weighed in at 10,050 pounds to 11,190 pounds. The unsynchronized gear-driven transmission had 8 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. Anytime a tractor production run is over 10 years, you know the machines are a popular choice. The TW series from Ford hit the nail on the head for many farmers who needed a 100-plus horsepower machine that would be durable and reliable. Produced in Antwerp, Belgium, 7 models between the TW5 at 122 horsepower and the TW35 at 187 horsepower rounded out the line. The TW5 had a 6-cylinder diesel engine with 122 horsepower that was fed by a 58-gallon fuel tank. The tractors were built on either a 4x2 two-wheel drive or 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with power steering and weighed 11,355 pounds to 14,300 pounds. The 2-speed power shift transmission had 16 forward gears and 4 reverse gears. The Little Orange tractor from Japan cut its teeth on the North American market in 1970 with the arrival of the L260. Since then, Kubota has become the most popular small tractor for small farms and hobby farmers. More than 90 different L-Series models have been produced by Kubota, ranging in size from 15 to 62 horsepower. The 4-cylinder diesel engine on the L4060 has 40 horsepower and a 13.5-gallon fuel tank. It is built on a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with hydrostatic power steering and weighs in at 3,737 to 4,134 pounds. It comes standard with a synchronized shuttle shift transmission with 8 forward gears and 8 reverse gears, a Kubota glide shift transmission with 12 forward gears and 8 reverse gears, or a 3-range hydrostatic transmission. While the L-Series got Kubota started in North America, it was the B-Series that helped it accelerate the growth of a new market called compact utility tractors. The B-Series was Kubota's smaller machine that could handle everyday ground maintenance tasks or hook up any combination of dozens of attachments to transform into a productive workhorse. Dozens of B-Series models have been offered, and most of them are still out there running and working. These specifications are going to be for the B2710, which was manufactured from 2000 to 2005. The 4-cylinder diesel engine had 20 horsepower and a 6.9-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with hydrostatic power steering, and it weighed in at 1,741 pounds. It had a 3-range hydrostatic transmission. Not one to rest on their laurels, after Kubota's arrival on U.S. soil, John Deere got to work on a machine that would offer big tractor features in a compact size. The 50 series included models from a 15 horsepower 650 to a 33 horsepower 1050. John Deere's gear drive 50 series models were later complemented by the 55 series hydrostatic models. The 3-cylinder diesel engine on the 950 had 31 horsepower and an 8.5-gallon fuel tank. They were built on either a 4x2 two-wheel drive or a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with manual or power steering, and weighed in at 2,700 to 3,000 pounds. The 2-range gear-driven transmission had 8 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. The almost 30-year run of the 6 Series John Deere Ag tractors make it one of the most popular tractors of all time. From the early 75 horsepower 6100 tractor's debut in 1992 to today's 250 horsepower top-of-the-line 6250R, the 6 Series is a truly remarkable product line and can't be ignored as a cornerstone of tractor production. The 6230R has a 6-cylinder diesel engine with 220 horsepower and a 124-gallon fuel tank. It is built on a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with power steering, and it weighs in at 20,503 pounds. It has an auto power infinitely variable transmission, or IVT. With a pedigree that goes back more than a century, Case and International Harvester are both names that are ubiquitous with farm equipment. So it's no surprise that the MX and Magnum machines from Case IH are the choice for farmers who remain loyal to this American classic. As the name might suggest, the MX and Magnum tractors are big. Some of them are gigantic. In fact, only the STX and Steiger machines are bigger in Case IH's lineup. On the small end, you have the 180 horsepower Magnum 180, and on the top end, the 380 horsepower Magnum 380. These specifications are for the Magnum 7250, which is a discontinued model. The 6-cylinder diesel engine had 215 horsepower and a 95-gallon fuel tank. It was built on a 4x2 two-wheel drive or a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with power steering, and it weighed more than 18,140 pounds. It had a full power shift transmission with either 18 forward gears and 4 reverse gears, or 24 forward gears and 6 reverse gears. While New Holland offers a number of small tractors, in 1999 the introduction of the Boomer series of compact utility tractors ushered in a new era. The sleek design and versatile offerings of multiple sizes drew a new crop of buyers to New Holland dealership. The name and the product worked because more than 21 years later, the Boomer line is still a popular choice among small tractor buyers. These specifications are going to be for a New Holland TC25. It is powered by a 3-cylinder diesel engine with 25 horsepower and has a 7.3-gallon fuel tank. It is built on a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with hydrostatic power steering and weighs in at 2,234 pounds to 2,588 pounds. It was available with a gear-driven transmission with 9 forward gears and 3 reverse gears, or a hydrostatic transmission. Just as the Kubota L260 tractor changed the game in 1970, Kubota went and did it again when they introduced the BX series in 2001. By building the first ever subcompact tractor to hit the market, Kubota immediately scooped up the entire market of homeowners who wanted a small tractor that was even smaller than everything else on the market, but bigger and more versatile than a garden tractor. The BX series was essentially a scaled-down B series tractor but engineered from scratch. The result was an instant success that has sold an immense number of units and has catapulted Kubota into a new stratosphere in North America. These specifications are going to be for the BX25, which is a discontinued model. It has a 3-cylinder diesel engine with 24 horsepower and a 6.6-gallon fuel tank. It is built on a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with hydrostatic power steering and weighs 2,700 pounds with the loader and the backhoe. It has a 2-range hydrostatic transmission. Hitting the nail on the head is not an unfamiliar result of John Deere's product lines. The refreshed 3 Series machines set John Deere up for success in the compact utility tractor segment. Today, the 3 Series machines feature tractors from 24.7 horsepower to 45.3 horsepower, which make them a great size for hobby farmers. These specifications are going to be for the 3720 tractor, which is a discontinued model. Its 3-cylinder diesel engine had 44 horsepower and a 13.5-gallon fuel tank. It is built on a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with power steering and weighs 2,900 to 3,570 pounds. It has a hydrostatic transmission. Remember how Kubota came out with the BX series in 2001 and sold a ton of them? Well, John Deere had a plan of their own. When the 1 Series hit the market in 2011, they did just the same and sold a ton of them. Practically overnight, the popularity of John Deere 1 Series machines took off, and the homeowner buyers loved what the little tractors offered, including a drive-over mid-mount mower deck. The 1 Series remains popular today, comprising a significant portion of John Deere's 175,000 plus annual sales of compact tractors under 40 horsepower. These specifications are going to be for the 1025R, which is still in production today. It has a 3-cylinder diesel engine with 25 horsepower and a 5.6 gallon fuel tank. It is built on a 4x4 four-wheel drive chassis with power steering and weighs 1,444 pounds. It has a 2-range hydrostatic transmission. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I will see you all again on Friday. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, and check us out on Facebook at Outdoors with A&T. And we've also got a Patreon page with 3 different membership options, so don't forget to go check that out as well. So I'll see you all soon. Until next time, bye for now.